Hey everybody, and welcome to my brand new show, Enter the Game Chat. Now for those of you who don't know me, that's okay, because I'm nobody. But you can call me by my given name, Austin Michaelis. Now, this is a test episode for a new show I'm trying to develop. In this new show, I want to talk about games I grew up with. I'll watch and review game trailers. I'll play and review games, new and old. I'll play game trivia. I'll update you on some games and gaming news. Eventually, I'll bring on some special guests for you all, and then we'll do some live stream gaming, and so much more. Now that I've got you excited for the future of this show, let's get back to the episode at hand, shall we? In this episode, I'm going to reminisce with you about a few games. More specifically, Donkey Kong, Star Wars Rebel Assault 2, and I've got one little bonus one for you that I won't get into just yet. I'll save that for later. Nice little surprise for you. I'll also give you an update on some gaming news and notable events. And then I'm going to wrap it up on a sour note. Talk about a game that I think about often that will probably never see the light of day again. So we think. I know. How very sad for a first episode. Thanks for logging on. Let's enter the game chat. So, I've got to say, rummaging through this old box of games of mine that I can't seem to get myself to get rid of, it brings me so much joy. You have no idea how many of these treasures are in this box that I haven't looked at for years and years and years. Okay, so that's why I kind of decided to do this show. These games are awesome. At least I think they were awesome. And that's why I want to start the show off like this, because I wanted to bring you down memory lane with me. Now, I'm going to start off a little slow, okay? I'm going to bring in some games that are much older. Now, some of you, I understand, are not going to know what these games are or what I'm talking about at all. And that's okay, because I'm going to talk about them anyways, and you're going to listen, and you're going to be the judge of whether you think they're as good as I remember them to be or not, okay? So I'll let you decide that. Now, I hope you all know what this is, okay? I really hope you know what this is. It says it right there at the bottom, too. This is the Game Boy Advance, all right? Now, many a great game were played on that bad boy, okay? If you don't know what I'm talking about, or if you do, you know what I'm talking about. Now, the first game that I want to talk about was not on that particular console. No, it was on its predecessor, the Game Boy. Yeah, it was this gray block thing. It didn't have color. You know, it had a lot of really great games on it. And more specifically, the one I want to talk about is this one, Donkey Kong. Okay? Donkey Kong was awesome. Okay, it was on the original Game Boy. I can play it here on my Game Boy Advance. I tested it out the other day. Wow. Childhood rushed right back in. Okay? Now, Donkey Kong was a game that came out in 1994, and I played it several years after. The game starts out with Donkey Kong kidnapping Mario's girlfriend, Pauline. Does this sound familiar here? And Mario gives chase across 10 different locations. Now, those locations include a construction site, where the levels are replicated from the original arcade game, a ship, a desert, and an airplane, just to name a few. Now, as Mario, you pull off his usual acrobatic moves, face some familiar enemies, and some new ones, and of course, get the girl back. I remember taking this game everywhere with me. I had it on the plane. I had it in the car when we traveled. I'd play it in bed when I was supposed to be sleeping. Don't tell my parents, but I brought it to school with me and I played it in math, okay? And that's probably why I wasn't doing so well in math. But again, they don't need to know that. That's between you and me, okay? Now, I had a blast playing this game with my dad. My dad actually introduced this game to me. I got hooked. I also played a lot of Super Nintendo because of him, and now I'm a gamer. Thanks a lot, Dad. I had a blast playing with my brother. My brother and I would challenge each other. We'd hand it back and forth. Here, you play this level. I'll play the next level. Just see how fast we can do it. And what a great time. One of the first things I played with my brother outside of the Super Nintendo games. It was challenging. It was just easy enough for a young chap like me to enjoy it with very minimal difficulty. Okay? Enough about Mario, though. He's had his sunshine. I want to talk with you now about Star Wars Rebel Assault 2 on the original PlayStation console. Holy cow, was this game a blast. I mean, come on. It incorporated live action actors and scenes with 3D rendered backgrounds. I mean, what? What? Star Wars Rebel Assault 2. You can control your human character, Rookie 1, to hide behind enemy cover shoot his blaster at the enemy stormtroopers. You can steer your fighter and aim your weapons at oncoming enemy ships. You can even fly the Millennium Falcon, dodging obstacles and being totally awesome. I don't know if I need to say any more about this game other than the fact that, if you can get your hands on it, you can find it. Please do yourself a favor and play this game, all right? That's Star Wars Rebel Assault 2, PlayStation 1. Get it. Get it on eBay. I don't even know if they don't have GameStop anymore. Whatever. Do they? EB Games? I think it's EB Games they got rid of. I don't shop at those places anymore. In either case, please play this game. It's awesome. All right? Oh, this is good. This is rich right here. Okay. So I just opened up the case just to see if the discs were in there. Look at this gem. Look at that. Do you know what that is? That is a cheat code list. Do any of you know what that means? Okay, now, for this game in particular, the most frustrating thing about this game was the fact that despite you having a memory card, a physical memory card you put in the system to save your game, your checkpoints or whatever, the game acted more like it was like an arcade game, okay? It did not, if you died, your progress was not saved. You shut your console off, you turn it back on, you go to play the game again, you start from ground zero, level 1. But at the end of every mission, they would give you a little code. You put the code in, and you can load into that mission that you just unlocked. Okay? That is how old this game is. That is hilarious. And apparently I kept really good logs of it. Because I was so tired of having to start over and over and over again. Outside of that frustration, the game is amazing. The game is awesome. It is very much challenging. Wow, that really brought me back. Okay, next. Now for the moment you've all been waiting for, the bonus game. Now I've held this information from you long enough. I think I should present to you The Legend of Dragoon. Okay, you see this game? You see it? The Legend of Dragoon. PlayStation 1. Many of you are not going to know about this game. I certainly don't either. I bought it. I played maybe a quarter of the first disc, and I was so frustrated with this game that I could not play it any longer. And yes, I said I played the first disc. This game came with 4 discs. 4 of them. Star Wars Rebel Assault 2 came with 2. That's how big this game was back in the day. It had 4 discs. And actually, as a matter of fact, funny fact, on the back of the game here, it says 3 years in the making with a development team of over 100 members. That is insane. Back then, in what, 1990? No, this had been 2000 something. In 2001, when this game was released, so before that, when it was in development, it took 3 years to develop. They had a team of 100 people, or was it over 100 people? Of over 100 members working on this game. Okay? That is probably nothing compared to what we work with today. But that game was so huge and so very influential, and it took influences from a lot of other games too. Let's take a little bit of a look at this. Now, I surely don't call myself an RPG player, more of a shooter, action-adventure type of guy, but this game was my first ever experience with this genre of game. Now, The Legends of Dragoon was developed by the same people that eventually brought us Ico, Shadow of the Colossus, The Last Guardian. It had very early Final Fantasy vibes with real-time combat and pre-rendered backgrounds. Visually, I thought it looked amazing, especially the CGI cutscenes, but the combat was so difficult. The amount of enemies and random encounters became so frustrating, I just couldn't take it anymore, and I gave up. Now, don't get me wrong, I love a good RPG. I've played Lord of the Rings: The Third Age. Actually, that's probably the only RPG game that I've played all the way through and really enjoyed. I can't do it, guys. I can't do it. RPG games, Legend of Dragoon, Final Fantasy, Skyrim, Oblivion, Fallout, can't do it. I can't do RPGs. I just can't wrap my head around it. Give me a through line. Give me something quick. Give me a shooter, a first-person shooter. Give me a third-person shooter. Give me an action-adventure game. Give me a racing game. And I'll be totally content. RPGs, can't do it. Some of them I'll get into. And you know what? Maybe the remake. Yes, the remake. At some point, The Legend of Dragoon is going to be remade. They don't have a release date, I don't think yet. but it has been confirmed they are making a remake of that game. I'll probably pick it up, and you know what? If it changes my mind, great. The better for you, the wider audience that actually plays RPGs. You'll have your win. I'm hoping you'll have your win one day. But you know what? I'd like to hear from you down in the comments from those of you who experienced the games that I've just talked about. And for those of you who haven't played those games, what games do you fondly recall from your childhood? Let me know. Well, enough about me. Let's get into what's going on in the wider world of gaming. This first bit of news gives me a great bit of joy, okay? So we've all heard about the Last of Us television show airing on HBO, and most of us have been excited to see it. Now, I've kept up with the show. I watched the first 2 episodes, and I very, very much enjoy this show, okay? And so do a lot of the people in my close circle. Gamers and non-gamers alike are loving this show. Now, the best bit of news here is that even after just airing 2 episodes of this show, they have been renewed for a second season. I mean, talk about giving fans exactly what they want. I mean, this show and its creators do such an amazing job of sticking to the foundation of the game, its characters, the world. I mean, every bit of this show surprises me with how great a detail they pay attention to what the game has already done. And it, you know, I don't know if this director or the show creators are, you know, gamers, or they just like great story. If you haven't played The Last of Us, go play the game. If you haven't seen the show on HBO, go to a friend's house if you don't have HBO and watch it. Download HBO if you're willing to pay for it. Watch this show. You will be in love. All right, so I'm not too invested in this next story here, but I am curious to see how this pans out. Justin Roiland, the co-creator of Rick and Morty, and I believe one of the CEOs of Squanch Games, is facing domestic violence charges. Now, if you don't know what Squanch Games is, they just released the very recent game, High on Life. What is this going to mean for Squanch Games and Adult Swim? Well, apparently not much. They're going to continue making episodes of Rick and Morty, and Squanch Games is planning to make another game. We'll find out more soon enough if the charges are legit and whether these severed ties are going to be permanent or not. Now, as much as that bums me out, nothing bums me out more than what I'm about to talk about in this next segment. I'm going to talk about a game that may never hit the shelves, ever, in our lifetime. Or ever in general. Let's get to it. Alrighty, folks. Be prepared to be totally bummed out with me, okay? Now, if you're a Star Wars fan, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. I think about this game all the time. But how much of a bummer is it that they, in 2013, canned the very highly anticipated Star Wars 1313? What would have been developed by LucasArts, Star Wars 1313 was going to be an action-adventure game that put you into the shoes of Boba Fett in his early adult years, hunting down baddies in a scummy underground sector of the planet Coruscant known as Level 1313. Playing as someone like Boba Fett means no force powers and no lightsabers. The game, like Star Wars Bounty Hunter, would have had you engaging in fast-paced, weapons-based combat, utilizing the tools and gadgets that any good bounty hunter would have. Yeah, hurts, doesn't it? I am right there with you. Now, some people think that it's just on a long pause, and others believe it went straight into the garbage. And I'm going to continue to pray to Kratos until I get further answers. Until then, thank you guys very much for joining me on this test episode of Enter the Game Chat. I'm your host, Austin Michaelis, logging off. Until next time.